So, welcome back to the Passionate Pioneer podcast, series 3. I'm Beth Taylor, the Passionate Pioneer, and this podcast is your connection into spiritual awakenings and the path to joyful living. Today, I'm joined by Tammie Vecchiarelli. And for people who don't know you, Tammie, would you mind giving us a quick introduction to yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I am a person that helps women to heal past relationship trauma, and I do this through an energetic modality called soul contract mapping.
Okay, soul contract mapping. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's a way to map out on a piece of paper the cords that energetically tie you together.
I love that.
Hmm.
Yes, I love that. I can't wait to dive deeper into that. So let's begin with your the first time when you felt that sense that something was missing. Even if on the surface everything looked fine as it does, right? But something that feeling that something was missing. How did that feel for you? And can you talk us through that?
Yeah, I feel like there are two major points that happened in my life. When it comes to my actual spiritual awakening, it was this point after I'd done my student teaching abroad in Sweden. And it just felt like I knew I wanted to go abroad, but there was something that felt like it was holding me back, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I couldn't understand what that energetic tie was.
I know that feeling.
Hmm.
I know that feeling well, and I'm sure our audience, and definitely the women that I meet can resonate with that.
Hmm.
Is that feeling that you want to do something more? There's more to you, but there's more to life, but you're not sure what it was. For me, that resonates with me because I wanted to go abroad,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and so I originally went to work on the cruise ship. So, what did you do? What was your first step into that going abroad?
Yeah, so I feel like that when you say that there are so many little steps that happen in between, but the at that point, at that crux point, it was that I knew I needed help. I knew I needed to find someone to help me on that journey. And it came in a way of a friend saying that she was going to school for therapy and had found out about hypnotherapy. And she said, I think you might like this. So I found someone that was in my area that did past life regression, and it changed my life.
Yeah. Oh
Hmm.
yeah. I've done that.
Yeah.
Yes, I've
Mm-hmm.
done that. That was maybe in my 40s. I
Mm-hmm.
did that, a past life regression therapy. It
Yeah.
was just astounding. I don't know how you felt.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It gave so much clarity. And, as you're doing it, you're kind of like, is this real? Am I really, did this really happen? But I had so many memories that flooded in throughout that time. Because I actually worked with this person for almost 4 years. So I really dove deep into that. Yeah, I feel like it just was transformative.
Yeah, I did it. I did a whole week session
Mm.
with a hypnotherapist. And it was amazing. It's like so for those of you who don't know what past life regression therapy is,
Mm.
um, I could explain, but I'll let Tammie explain to you what it is.
Yeah, so for me, it with my mentor that I had, it was that she put you into almost a meditative state. You were completely conscious and completely aware during it. Like it's not like in the movies where, you see this thing like, ooh, fall asleep and you don't remember what's going on. Um, but during that time, you just go into this deep meditative state where I started to see images and started to feel feelings. And then as you do it more often, at least as I did, it became much quicker that I was able to go into that state and able to remember things that were going on.
For me, I would describe it as like watching a movie of your past lives.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it was like that. For me, it was either I was watching it or sometimes I felt like I was in the movie almost.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's surreal because it's like you're oh look, there's me in the movie, right?
Yeah,
And you are and you
exactly.
and you're talking to. to people. For me, it was my soul family because I
Mhm.
believe we travel together. I'm
Yeah.
sure that you believe that too, that in soul families, soul tribes, and there were people that were familiar to me in those other lives. Was that the same for you?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Has that been true? And it's interesting because I feel like there's the soul tribe that we come in that's sometimes our immediate family, but then there's the extension of that that you have to find on a journey. And it was really interesting for me because I met some of my soul tribe in the visions of past lives and stuff. And then to meet them after I saw the visions of them, it was a weird connection that happened.
Right. Oh, right. Okay, so you saw them after that. Yeah,
Yeah.
mine were mostly family members
Mm-hmm.
in my present life. Some of them had already passed.
Yeah.
But most of them were family members. But it truly was awesome. Um, so that's a really interesting beginning then. And I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that was just meant to be that your friend
Mhm.
said, "Oh, what do you think about this hypnotherapy?"
Right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
Mhm.
you just followed the breadcrumbs.
Exactly. Yes.
Right? The next step and the next step and the next step. Because often in life, we just want to, well, okay, well, we're not comfortable here. Oh, I want to do that. Let me go from A to Z overnight. And you can't do that. It's like,
There are
I
so
have
many
this,
steps in between.
right? I have this kind of vision of the future. How
hmm
do I get there? And it's just, well, just relax into it. What's the first step you can take? Or, when you open yourself up um, to those feelings and those emotions of what you want, the universe tends to step in, right? And just bring you those people that can support you on the
Yeah,
journey.
exactly. That's exactly what my journey's been like, and it's been a wild, crazy ride.
So,
Yeah.
so in this crazy world, we've also got this comparisonitis where we're always
Mhm.
comparing ourselves to everything. Right?
Mhm.
Everything. Social media is crazy. And we've got this lie of having it all together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, when we're talking about we want to go from A to Z and we see people who are already at the end result, they have taken those
Mhm.
steps already. What you just don't see that.
Exactly. And I feel like there's a reframe that could happen there. Instead of, oh my gosh, they have what I want. Instead, maybe it's the universe, your spirit guides, whatever you want to call it, showing you this, someone else has this. If they have it, you can get there too by you taking those steps.
Absolutely. But it's a
hmm
different path for everybody. So
hmm
their path to get to where they were is very different to your path and how you're going to get there and how you're going to. It's like two people that are coaches, very different styles of coaching,
hmm
different
Exactly.
personalities. But we do have this comparisonitis and this lie of having it all together. And I do find that plays on um our self-worth and our sense of joy. How do you feel about that?
Oh my gosh, yes. I feel like that is just, it's not only what we see in social media, but it's also what we're raised in. Depending upon the family that we're raised in, you're told to fit in like this certain box and be this certain way. And it's so hard to do that and be authentically yourself. It's so hard to have that authenticity and live the life that you want when you're comparing yourself or following what someone else tells you should do.
Right. And I think those days are finished, haven't they? The cookie cutter coach.
Yeah.
It's my way or the highway, right? To follow these steps, this is the way. And I think, now coaches are realizing, and that definitely this is my methodology, and I'm sure it's yours, Tammie, is that, we are there to help and support people to open up to their own path,
Mm. Yeah, exactly.
right?
to understand their I like to call it their special sauce of whatever they're supposed to be and who what they're supposed to bring.
Right. Their secret sauce,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
The secret
Mhm.
sauce.
Yeah.
So before you had this awakening, what were
Mm,
some of the pressures or the limiting beliefs that you had that made you realize that there was this need for change?
gosh, which one do you want? Um, I feel like I just went through a lot of tough times in my life between losing my grandmother, who I was very close to, my parents getting divorced, my mom going through breast cancer, just all of these really big traumatic events that happened. And during that, I think the people around me tried to do the best that they could, but because they were also going through it as I was going through it, they couldn't support me in the way I needed. So it was a lot of pushing down the emotions, pushing down everything until it just became too much. And it was like, it needs to get out, otherwise, I'm gonna drown.
Right. And I think that is a that these catalysts are there to push us in a direction that we're supposed to go. And
Mm,
it's very, and sometimes it's very traumatic.
mhm.
It can be the loss of a loved one or a disease or a disability or an accident, something traumatic that makes us stop and reevaluate where we are and who we are.
Yeah.
Say, oh, let me go and deal with this. That's the first thing I think you have to do before anything else transpires. It's
Yeah.
about the digging deeper and going, okay, I need to stop. Stop the bus, I'm getting off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and at that same point though, I feel like that's only become something within, I don't know how many, 5 years, whatever it's been. I feel like for a long time it was just like, shh, nothing's happening. Push it down, you know? And if you're raised in an environment where, no one is healing, you have no example of this, how are you supposed to even know that it's possible?
Well, I think you're right, Tammy, and I think finally, like you said, in the last 5 to 10 years, finally we are managing to see that people need support and they need help. And before, especially in my era, as I'm sure it's the same with you, the we had to push things but I'm very British, and we had lumpy carpets, which means all the problems were just pushed under the carpet.
Yeah.
You just didn't talk about your problems. You didn't talk about what was. You just picked yourself up, brushed yourself off, and got on with it because life continues. But actually, there's some deeper moments there where you can sit and reflect and reassess and reevaluate you know, what happened? Why did that happen? Who am I? Why am I, all of the questions that come up after a traumatic event. Why me? It's one of the
Yeah,
biggest ones, right?
exactly. And then after they happen, I mean, there are things that happen in your life that trigger you. And understanding, yes, this event happened, but then because of that, there are all these other ripples that happen because of how you react to situations.
Exactly, exactly. It's the knock-on effect as it were. And I know that probably we've done it the hard way. We've had to deal with it on our own. It was a very lonely journey for us. And I find that women in their 40s and 50s, this is why I've got a community of passionistas, and this podcast is because it can be really lonely when you come to that point. And our generation don't really know who to talk to or
Yeah,
what to do next.
yeah, exactly. I would totally agree with that. I mean, my journey was very similar, My mom had gone through therapy. I found out years later that my dad had also, but it was like one of those hidden things like you're talking about under the lumpy rug. Um, But even with that, I feel like there is an openness that needs to happen within families where, as you're uncovering things, you're speaking about it and you're having these open conversations to not only heal yourself, but heal the people around you.
Well, correct. Right?
Mhm.
Because you don't realize when you heal your part of yourself, you're also healing past trauma, family trauma.
Mhm.
Other people around you are affected,
Yeah, exactly.
really, energetically, vibrationally.
Mhm.
They are healing as well. And
Yeah.
I think that's really lovely. Um, what about being your authentic self, Tammie? How would you, can you give me an example of how you really speak or live in authenticity in your life?
Yeah. So, as I told you, when it came to that past life regression, part of it was that I wanted to go abroad and I wasn't sure how or all those different things. And part of me living in my authentic truth was making the decision to go abroad, to, say, yes, family, I love you so much. I have been there for you. I've helped you in these different ways, but I need to choose me. I need to choose a life that feels aligned to me and that brings me joy. And sometimes making those decisions, it's not easy and not everyone around you likes it.
And when did you do that?
That was 4 years ago.
Okay, only 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Mine, I made that decision 25 years ago.
Look at you. That's amazing.
Right. So I've been on this journey, this spiritual journey for a long time. So 4 years ago, so you decided to go abroad. What happened next in the story?
Yeah, so next in the story was me learning how to thrive by myself in a different country that I had never done before to like that degree. And then also, like I said, there were shifts that happened in family dynamics, And I had been this person that was a caregiver to everyone, and I wasn't there anymore. And it was, well, we understand that you want this and stuff, but how do we survive without you being the caregiver? And there was actually an instance where it was, I think, about a year after I'd been away. My mom had an episode of being sick, and one of my family members said to me, well, if something happens, like you need to come home and take care of her. Why is that my responsibility? Don't get me wrong, I love my mother so much, but why is it my responsibility over everyone else's? It's not.
It's a joint responsibility.
Exactly.
How are we going to deal with it would have been better, right?
Exactly. And they had never experienced that before. It was always that I was the person that took care of everyone.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So so your spiritual awakening had a knock-on effect for their spiritual awakening.
Mhm.
Hi, I just wanted to pop on here just to say thank you so much for being here, watching this video and supporting my channel. It is my honor to bring you these stories from these incredible women who are passionate about their lives and have alchemized their spiritual awakening journeys from service to self to service to others. If you would like to be part of my Passionista community, just grab a free copy of my workbook, which you'll find a link below. It's called Your Passionista Journey Starts Here. And start making those small changes to your life that you need right now. Thank you again for being here. Love you to subscribe and hit the notification button so that you know when all the new weekly episodes are live. Thanks again, Passionista. Much love and joy. Now let's get back to the interview.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, it ripple effects.
Because that resistance that they had and the obstacles that they had, well, Tammie will just take care of it. Oh, no, Tammie's not going to take care of it.
Yeah, no,
And that's
Tammy's in her authenticity and she's not doing it anymore.
right. And that's also boundaries, isn't it, Tammie? And I think
Exactly.
when you're on this journey, you understand how important boundaries are as well. Like you said, you were a people pleaser, and
Mhm.
then you've learned not to be a people pleaser, and you've put in that boundary. Actually, Tammie is not going to be there all the time. Tammie is going to say no sometimes and take care of herself.
Yeah, Exactly. And it's so funny because those patterns have happened for so many years, and don't get me wrong, I've like course corrected, but sometimes those patterns still come back up, and my family members are still like, well, what about this? Well, sorry, it doesn't align with Tammie right now. But wait, what? So it still comes up and you still have to continue to set those boundaries.
Every day.
Hmm.
It's an everyday decision to
Hmm.
set a boundary and not be a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And I understand that, many of us are people pleasers,
Hmm.
especially as women, because we are the caregivers
Yes.
and we feel that, it's our duty, as it's been for hundreds of years, to be the natural caregiver and say yes to everybody and
Exactly.
juggle a million things at the
Mhm.
same time until there comes a point where you say, actually, I don't think I want to do that today.
Yeah, exactly. Mhm.
So let's talk about freedom because you're on this journey and you have moved abroad.
Mhm.
So how has your understanding of freedom evolved in this spiritual awakening journey?
Oh gosh, it has transformed in so many ways over the years. And right now, freedom to me is having the ability to travel as I want while having the ability to work online and do the things that I truly enjoy. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah. Freedom means so many different things to so many different people. Yeah, for me, I'm the same. It's waking up when I want to. It's not having a boss. It's making my own schedule.
Yep.
Um, it's it's trusting my own thoughts and my own intuition before making decisions. I th
Yes.
I think most people just are on automatic pilot,
Hmm.
and we tend to trust other people more than we trust ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I feel like that's something that's
Right.
ingrained in us, like society-wise, that we're supposed to work this 9 to 5 job and we're supposed to do that for however many years, and then eventually you'll be done, then you'll have your life, you know?
Exactly. And it's just not, and that to me is just there's something wrong.
Hmm.
There's something wrong with that, right? That you just do everything, and then is that what you're talking about retirement? Then you'll have your life when you
Yeah,
retire, right? It's a bit bloody late by then, isn't it? Really?
exactly. Your life is gone.
What
Like,
your life is almost over then, right? What
yeah.
about now? Let's start, finding joy and having these experiences now. Um, so let's dive deeper into the soul practice that you do, because I'm sure that this has helped you and become very important for you during your transformation.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about what you do, Tammie, and how it's helped you.
Yeah, so it started out about 3 years ago where I started to see this vision of circles and lines that were together, and it was just this yearning over time to draw it out on a map, like on a piece of paper. And as I was doing this, I literally sent it to my mentor at the time, like, well, what am I drawing? What am I doing? And over the 3 years, I realized that what I was seeing were the energetic cords that tie people together. And it's not only how they tie people together, like you to me, and like that we have a contract there, but it's also the emotions that are there, the stories that are underlying that are tying you together in either a positive or negative way, whatever it may be. But at a certain point, those cords are meant to be released so that you can move forward on your path.
And how do we remove those cords or make them stronger in some cases? What do we do?
Yeah, that I love that question. I love that question so much. So what I do when I work with my clients is I find the cords physically in their body, wherever it may be in their chakras, and I remove it from their body and I remove it from the body of the other person. and send it back to the ethers, wherever it goes. And then I cauterize the wound that was there from that cord. So that's for the removal. And then when it comes to the strengthening, I feel like it is. I was just talking to someone right before this. It's finding that cord within your body. For me, it's my soulmate right now, finding that cord and then figuring out the energetic frequency that's there and then tapping into it and saying, what should I learn from you? How can I make you come in quicker? What am I supposed to change in my life so that this will happen?
Nice.
Mhm.
Yes, I've done some spiritual cord cutting myself. I learned from mentors, and I'll ask you about that now. Um, I learned from various mentors over the years, but spiritual cord cutting is something that you can do. Anybody can do, right? But you do have to have a deeper sense of understanding.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not just as easy as a human cutting a piece of string, right?
Oh my gosh, I love that you said that because whenever I've heard it described online or like just heard people talk about it, that's always the way I visualized it. Was someone taking a string and cutting it or having those candles with the cord across it and then burning it away. What I do is, like I said, I'm finding the root cause of it, the root reason why it's there and releasing it because the other thing that I don't think people realize is depending upon how long it is and how close you are to that person can determine the size of the cord. Because I've seen cords that are as thin as a spider's web and as thick as ship's ropes.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's incredible, isn't it, really, when you go into the energetics of a person and you see that cord that it can be, because I always imagine like golden threads
Mm.
woven together.
Mhm.
But I always imagine them the same size. But obviously, you can have them very thin, like a spider's web, and you can also have them as thick as a ship's rope, which is interesting.
It is, yeah. And when I see them, it's also I know what you're talking about with the gold. I can also see, I guess it's different frequencies because it's different colors that I can
Right.
see them. And I can even see where there is meant to be a cord, but there's not a cord there. So then I can attach new cords.
Oh, I like that. I love
Yeah.
that. Um that's another string to your bow, as
Hmm.
such, right? That you can attach, of course. So you're removing,
Hmm.
strengthening, and also attaching if it's not there. And I love that. I love that. Let me just touch on this mentor because I always talk to my guests about the mentors that they've had and how important they were on the journey. So, do you want to just talk about a little bit about how important mentors are?
Oh my gosh, yes. I don't know what I would have done without the mentors that I've had in my life. The one that I spoke about earlier, she's still in my life. She's just not actively a mentor right now.
Right.
I feel like she was the reason why I was able to make that shift to move abroad and be able to do it in a way that was really aligned to me. At the same time, I've learned on my journey, mentors are so important, but not only is it important to have a mentor, it's important to have a mentor that is energetically aligned to you. Because I've also found those mentors that at the time you think they're aligned, and then after a while you realize, wait, what's going on? I don't really vibe with this. So it's also that discernment of understanding who is right for you.
Yes. Yes. That's true. It's
Mhm.
always nice to have um a little call with the person and obviously check them out, the website and etc. But I was really lucky to tell me my mentor is not active with me at the moment. A little, she's still in my life, but I would class her as a friend now.
Mhm.
She's been my mentor for about 5 years,
Yeah.
and I feel really honored that that I found her. She came into my life at the perfect time. Um, and what I thought I needed and what I really needed were two different things. And in
Mhm.
fact, she helped me to take away, a lot of the limiting beliefs, the the conditions, the jackets of conditioning, and many things which I didn't think were I didn't think I had, and I didn't think were the most important things. But isn't it funny when you're on a spiritual awakening journey, how many layers of conditioning we have to go through?
Yes, oh my goodness. And this is why I love spirituality though, because I've tried various modalities, and I feel like as you try different modalities, you go to that deeper layer and you understand yourself even more.
Absolutely. Well, it's also the next level, the next devil. I mean, there's quite a few of us that say that because once you've dealt with one thing, you've taken one layer heavy jacket off, then you've got the next one, and you're like, okay, now I can
Yeah.
deal with the next one comes along.
Hmm.
Or when you level up in your work,
Yeah.
you've got a new program or service or podcast or whatever it is that you're doing, or promotion as such. It's the next level, next devil.
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
really important that you do the work, as you're following the breadcrumbs and as you're going through it, right? Do the work, close the chapter, a bit like the cord,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Deal with the cord,
Mhm.
strengthen, remove, or attach,
Yeah. You got
and
it.
then you move on to the next level, right? Then you're ready for the next level. You have to do the work. You have to do the inner work first.
Yep, exactly. And I feel like that is something that people don't realize is that for us that make these quantum leaps, that make these big decisions in life, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna do this. It's those breadcrumbs that happen. It's those little steps along the way that you are healing yourself, that you're turning inward to understand who you are, that is really helping you to make those quantum leaps.
Right.
Mhm.
What were you doing before this, Tammie?
A teacher.
You were a teacher. So it's funny because I was in the corporate world and I left the corporate world to become a teacher. That was my first step.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So I I decided I was going to be a teacher, and I knew it, but that wasn't my life's mission. But I
Mm,
knew it was a step on the journey to help me to
yep.
understand people, to speak to people, to get more confident speaking to groups and one to one. Um, and also I was an English teacher, so it helped me with the language that I needed
Mm,
to
mm-hmm.
express myself properly.
Yeah, definitely. I've loved being a teacher. I've worked with young children most of my career, and I feel like it gives you an insight into looking back to your childhood and understanding those inner childhood wounds because I feel like it's hard sometimes, as an adult looking back, whereas if you're around that childhood energy, you can see firsthand how these wounds might be affecting them at that age, and it can help you reflect.
Well, that's interesting. So that was for small children, primary school. I didn't teach primary school. I taught 8 years old and above, um, and then and teenagers and adults.
Mhm.
So never did the really young children. But I think that's a good age to be a
Mhm.
teacher because you can be so inspiring,
Yeah.
and you can be such a good influence on the child at that age as a teacher.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've really enjoyed it. I feel like you said, I've been able to change lives. And also it's been interesting because as that has come about, I've also been on my spiritual journey. So I feel like not only am I helping them in an educational aspect, I'm also helping them in an energetic aspect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it really helped me. And that's funny, isn't it, that I stepped into being into being a teacher and then stepped into being a coach. That was just the following the breadcrumbs. Um, so when you've been on this spiritual journey, how has your daily life and your relationships and your overall sense of well-being changed?
Yeah, I feel like it's a transition over time where I was in that people-pleasing state where like I felt like I had to spend a specific amount of time with my family, do certain things, go to work and then do these things. And when I made that transition to moving abroad, it was realizing that, wow, I have more time for myself. I can do the things I enjoy. I can dive in even deeper into my spiritual practice, whether it be meditating or journaling or those type of things, to the fact that my my sister has a friend that she was closer with in middle school and then became closer with in adulthood. And she mentioned at my sister's bridal shower, man, Tammie seems different. She seems so much happier now. So someone that like I don't even actively have in my life noticed the shift that was going on with me.
And isn't that amazing that
Mm-hmm.
people notice that? Because sometimes you don't notice it when you're in it. You don't notice it. You don't notice the changes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's absolutely, absolutely true. Um, you know, the one thing I would say is, you know, how does it make you happy? And if it makes you happy, follow that. And obviously, what you've done, you weren't happy,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe you were a little happy sometimes, but you weren't following you felt that you weren't following your purpose. And then when you did, look at the change that somebody, that you don't see very often, it's not active in your life really,
Yeah.
notices the change. And I think that's lovely. That's really amazing.
Yeah, and it's so funny that you bring that up. The question that actually I feel like eventually catapulted me into my spiritual journey was I was in a depressed state, I was anxious, went through a breakup, was failing at life, and I asked myself the question, what makes me happy? And it started out as travel, which turned into living abroad, which turned into all of said things. So sometimes it's just that one question, that one instinct in you that can completely change your life.
Journaling prompts are amazing, right?
Hmm.
Those little journaling prompts like, how do I feel today? What brings me joy? How do
Yeah.
I, what will make me happy today? Right?
Hmm.
Sometimes it might be simple as an ice cream,
Yeah.
right? It could be something as simple as that. But those little journal prompts and what makes me happy?
Hmm.
And then you start writing and it's cathartic, it's eye-opening actually, what happens when you journal.
Hmm.
Because I believe every woman has a purpose and unique gifts. So, Tammie,
Greatly.
let's talk a little bit more about the work that you do
Hmm.
and how that impacts other. I don't know, who do you coach? Is it women, men, both? Um,
Typically women.
Typically women, right? Okay, so that's aligned with me because I teach women. Sorry, men, it's just not, it's not a slight against men. I just feel that women just are not um, as confident and open with their purpose and their gifts because we are caregivers and people pleasers, right?
Hmm. Exactly, yeah. That and I feel like women, especially when it comes to a spiritual space, they're just more open to talking about their feelings and really exploring the depths of their soul. It's not that men can't or won't, it's just that it's something that comes more natural to us sometimes.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. Um, when you're with a client and they're how do you tell us more about the work that you do with the cord cutting and strengthening and attaching
Yeah. So what I
and
typically
and the soul patterns you talked about.
Yeah, so what I typically do when a client comes in and say, what do we want to work on today? And it could be anything, from I want to work on inner child wounds, or I want to work on this relationship with my mom, or whatever it may be. And then from there, I start tapping into the energy, and I usually have an overhead camera, and I start drawing out how the energetic cords line up with these different people. And as I do this, it's so funny because naturally, the person, even though it's virtually, they start picking up on the energy that I'm moving. I've had clients that can physically feel the cords releasing, or they also are like, whoa, why I feel like hot all of a sudden, even though it's from a distance. And as this is happening, it might be that a story comes up from when you're a child and you were yelled at by your mom for whatever reason, or it could be that you went through a really bad breakup and that's affecting you in some kind of way. And we kind of just follow the chords as they go. And it starts out as one big map, if you think of it like a leaf. And then what I do is, as we figure out what's going on, it's almost like a microscope, and I'm able to zoom in and draw multiple maps so that we have a full picture of how everything is lined up together.
Wow, that sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
That sounds really exciting, just the way you're describing it. So you have the overhead camera and you're just
Mhm.
drawing the map of what you feel
Yeah.
energetically, and then they pick up on that and then you work together. That's incredible, Tammie. I really love that.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes when people do energy healing, it's like they're just moving it. Whereas what I like to do is I want you to be a part of the process. You know, yes, I'm helping move everything around, but I want to get to the root of why you're feeling this way. What stories have you had happen? What feelings are there that are stuck and holding you back?
Yeah, that's great. I love that you want them to be involved. You want your clients to be involved because I had some energy healing done and I wasn't involved in the process at all. And I didn't feel um very satisfied, maybe, because I wasn't I did feel the effects. Don't get me wrong, I did feel some of the effects, but I would have liked to been involved more in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really important.
Yeah,
So I
I.
love the fact that you draw the map
Mhm. Yeah.
and they pick up on it. So, in your experience, how does finding your personal joy and living authentically contribute to the collective conscious of the planet? Because we are collectively moving on my circle is, and you're part of my circle. We are moving from service to self to service to others. So how do you feel that joy and living authentically contributes to the consciousness of the planet?
Oh, I totally agree with you. I mean, it's so funny. I feel like as something happens in my life, I notice that all of not only my family, but the spiritual people around me notice that there's some kind of shift that's happening. And if you're less spiritual, you're like, what's going on? You know something's happening, but you don't know what's happening exactly. Um, but it's just so interesting once you tap into energy and the frequency that's going on around you. As you become more in tune to it, you become more in tune to yourself.
Yeah, well, energy doesn't lie, right? This is the way that when you said, you've got the overhead camera and everything's online. I'm online too with my clients.
Mhm.
And it's the same. Energy doesn't lie. Even if you did it in person, it's the same. When you walk into a room, you
Mhm.
can feel that energy. You can
That is
feel
what,
whether
oh my,
somebody's just, you can feel if somebody's just had an argument or
yeah,
if somebody's happy and they're joking. You can feel that positive and negative energy. You can feel it. So, when people say, "Oh, energy," I don't know what you're talking about. No,
you do.
but you do because you can feel it.
Yes. Yes, I use that example all the time.
You can feel it, right? You can feel it. And so online, people ask, is online as effective as in person? Yes, because energy doesn't lie, whether it's across the screen now or it's in person. It's the same. It's energy.
Oh, exactly. I mean, and not only that, not only is it across the screen, but I mean, use my dog who's walking around right now as an example. I went through a spiritual awakening at one point when I was in the UK, and my dog and I, she's my familiar, love her so much. She energetically picks up on me. She had a dog sitter with her, and her energy went crazy. She ended up getting a UTI because of what was going on with me. So energy does not lie.
Right, well, they do. Well, and animals are very sensitive. I've got cats, Tammie, and they're very sensitive to what's happening in my house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very sensitive. But I do feel that that's the collective consciousness is the vibration is rising.
Yes, I agree. I
I, I
completely,
I can feel it.
I
Like we
completely,
say, the light's winning
yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
and the old world is crumbling.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
You
And
know,
the old go on.
with that though, is it that the old world is crumbling or you're changing timelines? Did
Well,
you?
there's another thing, isn't there? There's a timeline, isn't there? But it's
Yeah.
the fact that we won't. I'm just not tolerable to the old way of doing things. I made that decision when I decided to come into service for others. You
Mm-hmm.
did too. And
Yeah.
the many women I speak to, the same. So we're
Mm-hmm.
leaving that old structured matrix behind
Yeah.
and we're creating a new way of living, right?
Yes, exactly.
A new
Mm.
way of living and a new way of being. So I do feel that we're getting there.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a slow journey, but we're getting
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
I'm going to finish with two questions I ask all my guests, Tammie. And that's the first question is if you could go back in time, what advice would you give to your younger self, to little Tammie?
Be kinder to yourself. Yeah, be kinder to yourself. Just allow, it's okay for things that are happening and it's okay for slow change.
Nice.
Mhm.
And what do you hope your story will inspire in other women who are looking to live a more purposeful and joyful life?
Oh man. Um, that it's okay to choose you. It's okay to go on a path that is not the traditional or the norm, you know? Choosing the path that's right for you, everything will line up the way that it's supposed to.
Very nice.
Mhm.
Very lovely. A million thanks to Tammie for joining me today. Thanks to our audience for hanging out with us. We hope you found it inspiring and empowering. And you'll find all you need to know about both of us in the details below. Until next time, this is the Passionate Pioneer and Tammie signing off.
Bye.
Bye bye. Wow, another powerful Passionista conversation. I hope that this guest's journey, experience, and story has inspired something deep within you. Remember, it's about following the joy moments in your life. It's a beautiful dance with the universe. If you would like to dive deeper into your joy journey with me, you will find all the links below this video, including a link to a free workbook that will help you to start your joy journey. And until next time, Passionista, I'll say goodbye. Much love and joy.